Welcome to The Explainer. You ever wonder how a company goes from, being a small local player to this massive global powerhouse? Well, I can tell you it's not some kind of magic trick. It's a very deliberate evolution. It starts by fixing just one broken process and ends with competing on the world stage. Today, we're going to follow that exact path: risk, reward, and transformation step by step. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to kick things off with the big why. Why do companies even have to change? Then we'll dig into how they can redesign themselves from scratch, build the technology to make it all work, and finally, take that success global. Sound good? Let's dive in. So first things first, why change at all? I mean, if a business is successful, why can't it just keep doing what it's doing? Well, the simple truth is, in the world we live in today, standing still is the same as falling behind. The answer to that question on your screen, it's a definite yes. But it's not just that you change, it's how you change that really matters. It turns out there's this kind of ladder of change. It's got 4 distinct rungs, and with every single step you take up that ladder, you're taking on more risk, but also you're looking at a much, much bigger reward. And you can see that progression right here. Down at the bottom, you've got the low-hanging fruit, right? Things like automation and rationalization. These are pretty safe bets. They'll get you some small gains. But the real transformation, and honestly, the real money, that's way up at the top, with re-engineering and full-on paradigm shifts. That's where the risk is, absolutely. But the payoff? It can change literally everything about the company. So let's zoom in on that third rung of the ladder, the one just before a company totally reinvents itself. We're talking about business process reengineering, or BPR. And trust me, this is where things get really, really interesting. The whole idea behind BPR is pretty simple, but it's powerful. Don't just make little tweaks to the old way of doing things. No, throw it out entirely. Start with a completely blank page and ask yourself, what is the absolute best way to get this done right now? You're not looking for a 10% improvement here. You're hunting for a 10 times improvement. Okay, let's make this real. Take the US mortgage industry. Before they changed anything, getting a mortgage approved was an absolute mess. For the lender, just to process a single application, it cost a staggering $3,000. And it wasn't just expensive. Oh no. It was painfully slow. Imagine being the home buyer. You're waiting up to 8 weeks, just drowning in paperwork and total uncertainty. It was awful. But then came re-engineering. That $3,000 cost? Gone. They slashed it by 2/3, all the way down to just $1,000 per application. And that 2-month wait, they completely crushed it. They took it all the way down to just 1 week. I mean, that is a total game changer. So how'd they do it? What was the secret? It all came down to one single radical shift. They totally destroyed the old assembly line process, where your application file was passed from desk to desk to desk. Instead, they created something called a work cell. Basically, one dedicated team of specialists that owned the entire case from day one all the way to closing. No more handoffs, no more waiting, no more delays. Okay, so you've re-engineered your process. That's a huge, huge step. But here's the thing. You can't run a brand new, high-speed process on some old, clunky system. It just won't work. You need to build the engine that can actually power it. And this is the classic blueprint for doing just that. It's called the Systems Development Lifecycle, or SDLC for short. Just think of it like a formal recipe. It's a set of steps that takes you from a raw idea all the way to a finished working piece of software that people can actually log into and use. Now, you can follow that recipe in 2 totally different ways. The traditional waterfall way is kind of like building a skyscraper. You have to perfect the blueprint, then you build each floor perfectly before you can even think about starting the next one. It's very slow, very rigid. The modern way, prototyping, is more like sculpting with clay. You quickly shape a rough version, you show it to people, you get their feedback, and you just keep reshaping it over and over. It's fast, it's flexible, and it's built for a world that changes on a dime. So at this point, our company has a super efficient process and a modern system to run it. The engine is just humming along. So the next logical question is, where else can we take this thing? It's time to stop thinking about just the local market and start thinking about going global. And let's be honest, it's not really a choice anymore, is it? Companies are getting pulled into the global arena by the promise of brand new markets and huge economies of scale. But at the same time, they're being pushed by technology that connects the entire planet, creating a global workforce and even a global culture. For any company with big ambitions, going global is pretty much inevitable. This quote right here just nails it perfectly. Just think about the phone that's probably in your pocket right now. It was probably designed in California, it has chips from Taiwan, maybe a camera lens from Germany, and it was all put together in China. That one single device is a perfect little snapshot of a massive, complex, global system at work. But here's the key. Going global isn't a one-size-fits-all kinds of deal. A company has to make a very specific choice. And the strategy it picks is going to define the entire organization, from the very top all the way to the bottom. Just look at the difference here. On the far left, you've got the simple domestic exporter. See how everything, production, finance, HR, is all centralized right at home. It's simple, right? Now let your eyes scan all the way over to the right, to the transnational model. All of a sudden, every single one of those functions is coordinated across the entire globe. It's not one headquarters calling all the shots anymore. It's a complex, living, breathing network. And here's the crucial link, the real takeaway. Your business strategy dictates your technology strategy. That simple exporter we talked about, it just needs one central IT system. But that incredibly complex, networked, transnational firm, it is dead in the water without a networked system that lets every part of the business talk to every other part seamlessly. The system absolutely has to match the strategy. No exceptions. Okay, so the strategy is set, the vision is there. Now for the really hard part. How in the world do you actually implement a global system without causing complete and utter chaos? Well, the playbook for doing this successfully really comes down to one thing. Be smart, not brutal. Don't try to control everything from the top down. Instead, just identify the small handful of business processes that are truly critical, the ones that have to be global. Then, evolve your technology step by step. Don't go for a risky big bang launch. And maybe most important of all, make sure every single person in the company understands the why behind all this change. So there you have it. We've gone from fixing one single broken process all the way to designing a global enterprise. It's a complicated journey for sure, but as we've seen, it follows a very logical path. And that just leaves one final question for you to think about. Knowing all these steps, if you were in charge, if the playbook was in your hands, what would be your first move? Thanks for watching.